So a warm welcome to our December meetup. We already had a live hack 2 weeks ago with the company Insight. Now we are back on track with our yearly recap. So if you're part of the Agile community since a couple of years, you might know that we have one time a year a recap of the actual year and an outcome and let's say vision of the year that is coming up. We started that in 2020, if I remember right. Then we had the last time, we had Christian Werner from the PM, we had Matthias Haas every time, I have to say. And now we are delighted to have also Jed and Irfan join in a couple of minutes. So where are we at the moment? What we are planning at an upcoming event is we have our yearly year review today. Then we have on the 20th of December, the IGEL Community Anniversary. Since we're turning 5, I would invite you to join us in celebrating our first real anniversary. And just in case you didn't notice that on the last meetup, we are planning an amazing event on the 19th of January, together with Lino Reutner, who is leading our support, who will give you extreme interesting insights about how our support is working, what is the difference between the standard support we're delivering and the priority support one, where is the difference between what we are doing in the community and what the support is delivering, and how a standard ticket is evolving our ticket system, but also how a complicated one is being evaluated by a certain level, dev, and so on. So please join on that one, because I will also take the second part of the session and talk deep tech information regarding new features that I will already mention a couple of times today. As soon as we ended up the presentation of Matthias, since we have integrated a lot of new features in the 2022 in the IGEL Cloud Gateway, in the UMS, in the Universal Management Suite, but mostly in IGEL OS. So please join that one. I'm pretty sure you will learn new stuff. In case you didn't saw it, we have a specific webpage, which is called igelcommunity.com/events, where you can register for upcoming ones. Here, since I'm not in the presentation mode, I would just give you the hint that we have 2 to 3 different and additional information sources. We have the Tech Tip Tuesday video that I'm recording at the moment, not as regular as I would have wished, but at the moment we are still searching for new topics. And please stay tuned. We will have new topics coming up quite soon in the year 2023. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of January. Then we have our technology partners, which are part of the Agile community, but not part of your standard channel. So if you go to your Slack client, doesn't play a role if you're using the web browser or the Slack client itself, you go to plus and add with TP minus, which is meant to be the abbreviation of technology partner, minus the name of the company you would like to add, and then you will get great insight about the product. Then we have the webpage itself, so videos.igelcommunity.com, where all the topics like today will be released, where we have the upcoming and already recorded tech deep dive that we're delivering, and last but not least, also the meetups like what we're doing today. Just a short summary of how to join, where the different websites are located, and the archives one, that's maybe something that you have reached as you search maybe for specific technical behavior on Google or on DuckDuck or whatever search engine you're using. So you don't have to bookmark that one, but I'm pretty sure you already have noted that we are exporting data from Slack to search engine entries. Then just one more thing. In that case, you see this wonderful wallpaper. I guess it was Windows Vista, if I remember right, together with Jack Nicholson from Stanley Kubrick's movie. I just forgot the name, to be honest. Shining. Thank you. And we are creating and setting up a wallpaper contest. So if you didn't see it on the session that we had last time, or if you don't have the ability to check that on our announcement part of our Slack client, you will be able to join a contest at the 16th of January, where we will give you the ability to jump in and also create your own wallpaper, submit it, get it upvoted, and in a perfect world then being announced as a winner, having the ability to integrate it in the IGEL OS 12, which is coming at the beginning of next year. This will be really an own IGEL community wallpaper that you create that will integrate that in the system. In case you didn't notice, we have also Viva la Disrupt. So our upcoming Disrupt event happening in Munich and in Nashville. In case you didn't have the chance to register until now, please do so. What you are seeing here on the screen is a 20 euro discount, especially for the IGEL community, which is not available anywhere. And it's pretty limited. So we are already not booked out, but nearly booked out. So please be fast in checking in and doing your registration, since a lot of new topics will be discovered and shared there. Last one, if you have questions, you can obviously write something in the chit chat part of your Zoom client, but I would prefer to have you putting that in the Q&A section, so question and answer section. We will review that in regular times, and the goal is to cover most of your question then inside of the session itself. We already have some questions that we gathered in prior that I will ask then Jed, Irfan, and Matthias. But then give me a second to send the Zoom link to the colleagues who are not able to join. And Matthias, I would like to hand it over to you. So we'll stop sharing right now.
Perfect. Thank you. So let me also share my screen.
Please.
And get this in presentation mode. All right. Cool. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I do. We are
Perfect.
Now in full screen. Perfect.
Perfect. So, thank you for inviting me to the annual meetup. And yeah, I want to talk to you and with you, Sebastian, a little bit about what we did this year, but also give you a short glimpse on where we're going next year. And first of all, let me start off with, this year has been quite interesting in different perspectives. And I think if you have a look on what we are doing as IGEL with providing an endpoint solution through IGEL OS and our UMS tool, I think the interesting thing here is what did we deliver on and what matters to our customers or today in 2022, and what will matter to them in 2023. And I thought this slide is quite interesting because it helps us to have a nice talking track around a couple of topics that are relevant to our customers. So talk about what we are delivering on with IGEL OS and the UMS, the reduction in management. So simplicity was a key element in 2022, which was guiding our customers and probably you in the community. How do I manage my endpoints? How can I do more with less, right? That's, I think, one of the things that is really very important, especially when you think about that your employees, your endpoint users are working from anywhere pretty much still, whether they are sitting in the office, whether they are working from home, or somewhere in between. I think that it's been a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge to make sure that you're providing them a managed environment. Talking about this also is regarding security. And I think you hear a lot of people talking about, hey, security has never been as important as it is today. I think it has always been important, but you can see in today's world, you cannot live without a good security concept, without the ability to make sure that you're running a safe, protected, and secured environment. Making this happen, we at IGEL have continuously invested in security plays. Just as a background information, with the development organization that I'm responsible for, we have significantly increased the amount of people in our product security team. So we are continuously investing on adding more resources to make sure we can review, we can track the code. We are implementing the latest security principles. We have improved our what we call the secure development lifecycle process that makes sure that we are constantly training our development people. We have the ability to review code. We have a push-pull principle where people can only commit if the code has been reviewed. So we're constantly increasing the ability to navigate in a world that comes up with more and more security challenges. Doing this in the development organization enables us to build a product that is secure by design and helping us to also activate on security issues in the code that we are implementing, for instance, right? So if you have a look on how many CVEs have been out there in this year, it's been amazing to see how that was increasing compared over the last year. Not because the code is in a worse quality, but people are looking more into the code. And I'm talking about all of the open source activities, all of the technology partner integrations that we have done. And through that investment that we have taken in 2022 with our product security team, we are able to keep up to make sure that we are closing security CVEs as quick as possible, that we are able to review our code, to be able to make decisions based on what is the impact on IGEL OS and the UMS tools to help you in the community, to help our partners and customers run and drive a secure environment. Richer experience, if I have a look on 2022, it still is a key element. So have a look on us. We are still sitting here on Zoom, talking to each other, making sure that the experience with a virtualized infrastructure and an endpoint that is supporting that virtualized infrastructure is as good as a fat client architecture is definitely one of the key elements that we were working on. And I think, Sebastian, we can talk about this in the next on the next slide. We have invested in that also heavily. Yeah, driving sustainable IT, helping people to save money, to repurpose PCs has been also relevant in 2022. Driving being able to repurpose those PCs with IGEL OS, to repurpose your existing hardware infrastructure, also helps you and your customers and or your users to significantly save on IT spendings. So what did we actually do, having all of this in mind, with what were the 2022 key product highlights? And I want to start first with the UMS 6. Because I think the management tool is a key element. And Sebastian, if you just jump in, I think for me the key highlight in 2022 was the distributed UMS. And probably you might ask yourself, why is that the case? Why is the CTO of IGEL getting excited about the distributed UMS? I think it has helped to reduce complexity and really help our customers and partners to build a better scalable UMS without having our IGEL UMS load balancers, which are a little bit hard to manage, a little bit hard to update, and not state of the art anymore. So, Sebastian, what do you think about the distributed UMS in general?
Honestly, I love it because it makes it way more easier to make a high availability installation of the UMS. Because if you think about what we had in the former times, the HA product was a good product. I wouldn't say it was useless, but it was extremely complicated to set up. From the network requirements over the installation requirements. Do we have a load balancer separated? Yes or no? Are we supporting external load balancers? Yes or no? And this go over until you go to the database, you go to the configuration. Then how will the files, bigger files, replicated between the different UMS servers? And that's one of the key messages that we delivered until the last years. We want to be simple. That's where the distributed UMS definitely took over a lot of stress in making it easier to deploy and to install several UMS instances to have a redundancy, but also load balancing.
Absolutely. I think another key element that really drove my attention this year, and where we continue to invest, and where you will also see that it's getting the #1 product to manage devices, is the UMS web app, internally called WUMS, so Web UMS. But the official name is the UMS web app. Now we have invested a lot to make sure that this tool is adding more and more use cases across the year. Why is that so important? Because with UMS 12 and the upcoming IGEL OS 12, the UMS web app is going to be the console of choice to do all of those new features that we are introducing, whether it's application management with the IGEL OS apps, whether it's more workflow-driven approaches to manage endpoints, And it's a modern way to really enable your EUC admins to manage your endpoints and do your day-by-day work. It's no Java console anymore. That's what I can promise you for 2023.
And may I just give you, just adding maybe one idea, because we spoke about the key feature that we did in 2022. And there was maybe one additional, which is not mentioned quite often, but which helps a lot if you're automating the installation of a UMS server.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may have heard that we introduced some kind of command line interface for the UMS administrator. That's definitely a key feature I would every one of you to look at, because if you think about the UMS administrator, not speaking about the UMS administration in that case, really the separate tool where you're configuring the network settings, but your data source. Configuring the data source, so which kind of database, how to connect to it, do I want to restart the server or no, is something which was only available in the graphical user interface. So just speaking about headless servers where you have the UMS installed on a Linux box where you have no graphical user interface, which is usually the case on the server operating system. This feature will definitely kill everything that you have seen until now in terms of automation and in terms of command line usage of the UMS. So just in case you never had to play with it, it's definitely one of the biggest features I have seen in 2022.
Absolutely. And it's also enabling a more automated process to deploy UMS in cloud instances. Stay tuned for 2023. There's much more to come on this front. So switching gears, I think to IGEL OS, and the one thing that I'm quite proud of is what we have done together with Microsoft and AVD. Just to give you a little bit of context, we have been recognized as the innovation partner together with Microsoft to drive AVD and the consumption of desktop as a service with Cloud PC forward. You've probably seen the announcement that we have done where we have introduced not only AVD and the AVD client, but also the integration of Teams optimization on Linux. So far, IGEL OS is the only operating system that is driving and supporting Teams optimization within AVD. We have a huge investment going on, and together with Microsoft to make the access to the virtual desktop easier, faster. So talking about OS 12 coming up next year, our promise is that we will take you as a customer from unboxing a device to drop to your AVD desktop within 3 minutes. That's unrivaled. You will not see this anywhere else. So that's really how we are innovating and driving consumption on AVD with Microsoft. Talking about the OS by itself, also what you've probably seen in the course of 2022 is that we have changed the way how we are working with the IGEL Linux kernel. We are much more progressive on adding or keeping up with the mainline kernel. We are not sticking on the Ubuntu kernel anymore, and there's a reason for this. So we see that there's a huge adoption on state-of-the-art endpoints, especially about laptop devices, all-in-one devices, which require us Wi-Fi modules, right? So people are using the latest peripherals and the latest technology, chipset technology, and we want to enable our endpoint users and you in the community to make best use of your hardware, and not only to repurpose old PCs, but also through the collaboration that we have together with Lenovo, LG, and HP to make best use of those modern endpoints. Coming with that, integrations, you've also seen the investment that we did on BIOS management. We've heard a lot of feedback from the community, from our customers. Hey, we need to be able to manage BIOS and to be able to centrally manage BIOS from the UMS, not only update BIOSes, but also change the configuration. We have integrated LBFS, which is a standard for BIOS management. There are a couple of hardware vendors that are supporting this officially, but we are also investing in, let's say, more traditional BIOS systems. So we have also introduced AMI BIOS support for HP devices, and we are continuing to invest in that front. Also, what I was, one of my favorites was the ability that we were able to deliver latest technologies with the Citrix Workspace app. So what we also did is USB splitting, and I think, Sebastian, that's also one of your favorite things. So what do you like about that?
Honestly, it's the ability to split a USB device in different subsections. So if you think about a webcam where you have the video part, but you have also usually a microphone set it up, there is usually no real reason to redirect a webcam into a session by using the native USB redirection, because you have a virtual channel which is not optimized at all. So you just go get raw data into the session. But sometimes, like if you have a printer where you have a scanner and you have a printing unit, you want to split the two devices up, and that's where the Citrix USB splitting feature, which is already available on Horizon View, is definitely something which helps a lot. I'm also thinking about all the healthcare customers where the recording text to speech or speech to text would be more precise is still a big issue when it comes to VDI and using with a local operating system. It solves more or less every issue there. So if you have such kind of topics where you have to redirect a foot pedal, or where you have the different input devices redirected to the session, that's definitely a game changer for the way how it acted until now.
Absolutely. And one other thing that I would like to add with Citrix, and that's something that is just brand new. We have also now introduced Citrix Epa Support, so endpoint analytics. That's also helping our customers to implement the latest security parameters and the ability to also manage IGEL endpoints through Citrix's endpoint analytics platform. Yeah, I think those were for me the key highlights on the products. I think one other thing that I would also like to talk to you about is our hardware exit, and I'm sure that also Jed will talk about this a little bit. But for me, it's just subscribing to the idea that we as IGEL are providing an OS and a UMS to enable endpoints of any kind to make best use of virtualized infrastructures, connect to VDI, connect to DAS, connect to SaaS. With that announcement, we are fully focusing towards building IGEL OS out as the de facto standard for those infrastructures, and make this the OS of choice to connect to your Citrix, to your your VMware, to Microsoft environments, whether it's a VDI system, whether it's desktop as a service, or you will use just SaaS applications in the future. IGEL OS should be the right choice together with the UMS, and making sure that running this on Lenovo, HP, and LG devices, you get the best experience. You get a fully supported device that is constantly qualified and validated with every firmware release from IGEL. So another key highlight for me for this year. So let me talk about this. And you've probably seen this a lot of times when you're trying to get on Zoom calls.
More or less every day.
More or less every day, and I hate it, right? Because it's, you're getting stressed out. So how do I join the call when I need to update the client? Why do I show you that picture? I want to talk a little bit about the future and talk to you a little bit about why we need to imagine a new way to manage endpoints, why there is OS 12 coming up. And one of the key reasons is exactly that that message that you probably see again and again. And I want to give you a little bit of a context why that really matters. So in the world that we're living in right now, we do have a mix of very often on-prem scenarios where you're still connecting to your on-prem Citrix, where you're connecting to your on-prem VMware environment. And one of the things that was working quite well in the past with the firmwares that we were deploying with IGEL, OS 11, 10, and previous versions, was we were able to provide you a stable release that was providing the right Citrix receiver to connect to your environment. The challenge here was to keep that a receiver at a specific version, because you've probably validated it, you have qualified this against your on-premise scenario. Now, all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, and things like Zoom or Teams came to the mix of your applications. What's the big difference to Zoom and Teams? It is a cloud service, right? It's something that you don't control in your environment, that you don't control on your premise. It's a service that's constantly updating, constantly improving. And that service requires you to go away from that, hey, I want to keep my version stable as long as possible, but it requires you to constantly update and to push out updates. And being in that world where you have the requirement to have stable applications on the one hand side, but on the other hand, you're working at the same time with cloud services, is putting the idea of a static firmware really in question, right? And that's what we have worked on for the last 2 years. And how we want to solve this, I want to give you a very brief overview. So first of all, with OS 12, we will introduce a complete new concept. We are not talking about a firmware anymore. We are really talking about an OS that can stack applications on top. So I think the best comparison you could have is a mobile phone where you either run Android or iOS. We are also going to run IGEL OS, and you can then select to add applications on top. It's not a monolithic firmware anymore. It's more a concept of different components, different Lego pieces that you can plug together. Enabling this smart deployment of applications is helping you to build the OS and application stack of choice that you require for your infrastructure. It's also coming with some key benefits for simple device onboarding that will help you to achieve this 3-minute from unboxing of a device to deploy to your AVD or Citrix desktop. We are building a new UI that is optimized for mobile and hybrid work. That means it's more built around the end user. And we are integrating security solutions that allow you to single sign on into your system and connect to your different services without re-authenticating all the time. The other part to it is still the UMS. So with UMS 12, as I said to you before, the UMS 12 will come up with a new UMS web app that is integrating app configuration. So you're not only managing your endpoints, the configuration of your endpoints, the user-specific configurations, you also are now able to manage apps and the deployment of apps to your infrastructure. And last but not least, we are also switching the protocol that you're using since 10 years with IGEL OS and the what's it called, IGEL Cloud Gateway protocol to one single protocol that's built on modern protocols and modern applications.
Should I say finally, because we are really loving that. Because if you think about the time where pre-sales, advanced services are teaching customers how to set up their network, and I don't speak about the HA, high availability part, but just I remember me drawing some pictures on flip charts and walls where 30,001, 30,005, then you have to speak about the data structure tag and so on. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's why we call it unified protocol, by the way. So it's unifying all of those different protocols. Cool. Yeah, with that along, being able to manage apps and deploy apps, we are introducing what we are calling an app portal. So that app portal allows you to install the application of choice on your device. Could be a Citrix receiver, it could be a browser, can be the Zoom VDI application. And we are enabling you to choose for each application whether you want to control the update of the application, so you can stay current, for instance, on your Citrix receiver version, or you're subscribing to an auto update stream, so your Zoom client will all the time update to the latest version. You're probably not seeing that picture anymore. So that's why I'm referring to that picture as a key driver moving forward. I want to talk very briefly about the onboarding service where you can simply onboard devices. This is going to really change the world. As I said before, within 3 minutes, you will be able to unbox the device, turn on the device, answer 3 simple questions. I'm not sharing with you which 3 simple questions, but they are so simple that everybody should be able to answer them. And then your device under management will get configured and drops you to the desktop, which is really great and will change the perception of the onboarding process very much. There's no technical person required to actually, get your device under management and drop it to your desktop. And last but not least, I want to also talk about the Insight service. So that's a telemetry service that we're providing. We got a lot of feedback from our customers and partners. Hey, we want to better understand what's going on in your infrastructure, what's going on with our endpoint devices. How can we make better use of our endpoints? With the Insight service, we will enable you and your customers to better understand what's going on in the IGEL infrastructure and really make better use of your devices. So with that, I want to briefly talk to you about what are our core promises for OS 12. We are adding more focus on security more than we do today. We are introducing a better user experience, the best user experience in the market for those endpoints. We are simplifying management with the new UMS web app, and we will provide you and your customers the flexibility to choose where you want to put your workloads, right? We are not locking you into one specific, whether you're running want to run on-prem or in the cloud. You have the choice. You can build your workloads wherever they are needed, and you can move your workloads wherever it's better from a commercial perspective, better performance or higher security. So with that, I think that's the outlook for 2023, and I'm really happy. I hope I was able to give you a little bit more details and give you some highlights what we've seen in 2022 and where we're going in 2023.
I like it that you are promising it.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Matthias. I would maybe, so first of all, to be more polite, let me first of all welcome Jed Ayres and Irfan Kurshid to the call. I hope that both of you had the chance to listen to Matthias from the beginning on. He promised a pay raise for everyone, even outside of the IGEL community. Nah, just kidding. Hope you're both doing well. Hi, Jed. Hi, Irfan. How are you?
Hey, Seb. Doing great. Thank you so much for the honor of being on this call today.
The honor is on our side. Hi, Irfan.
Thank you, Seb. Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Great. I would just maybe add one last thing on what Matthias presented. There is one feature that I never have. Yeah, I mean, I was speaking about a lot of time in the IGEL community, but I didn't want to interrupt you again on feature that we delivered in the year 2022, which were amazing. Custom attributes. I will not tell too much because it would take too much time, but in case you missed that feature, please join us on our Disrupt event because I will give you a tech deep dive in how to use that. Just a small hint, if you're using custom attributes or in former times, it was just the ability to add some information to your endpoint in the IGEL UMS, but you never had the chance to write it back from a device to the UMS. Now you can define your own attributes and write whatever you like from the endpoint back to your UMS for using that in views, etc. But that's it from my side. Jed, would you like to give us a few insight about what the year 2022 brought to you and what you are seeing for the year 2023?
Sure. Well, first, I just want to say thank you to the community that's on this call. I looked at the attendee list, and I can see this is the most devoted and committed group of people that really are helping us build a better future for IGEL. And I just want to say thank you, right? Because these are people that bleed IGEL. And I think I have a relationship with almost all of you, which I'm very grateful for, and thankful that you reach out to me when things aren't going the way that you want them to. This is one of the values of the company, is to be flat and fast and approachable and humble and able to listen to what you have to say. And I have to say, Seb, this community has helped make IGEL a better company. And a lot of the things you just heard from Matthias relative to our roadmap and the things that we're trying to do from an innovation perspective have come directly from the human beings that are on this call. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for helping us. And I know many of you have been with us from the very beginning of the dream that we had of putting together this community, for the betterment of helping each other succeed, which is also another part of the core values of IGEL, of serving each other, serving our partners and our customers. So yeah, when I think about 2022, Seb, it's really a continuation of the transformation that we've been on over the last 7 years to one where innovation wins in software, right? And unlocking that innovation, pushing the industry forward. This is what we aim to do, right? And so, this year we took some pretty big steps in that direction with the focus that we're putting on building the product. And yes, it always takes longer than you think to build a product. We had hoped to get OS 12 out earlier this year, but of course, also in the German kind of tradition over the last 20 years, we want to make sure that we produce a product that is truly usable and does what it says it does. And so, we made the decision back in September to delay the release of the product so that some of the things you just heard from Matthias really, create a whole new paradigm for customers. So yeah, beyond innovation, I think focus also wins, right? And so, we have a lot of focus on the verticals where we think we can add the most value. And those verticals are in government, financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, places where customers have a need for a great user experience, a high need for security and protecting data and customer and patient data or highly sensitive data. These are also verticals where you have a high degree of distributed workers. So being able to manage those and then to do it in a cost-effective way. And I think, our goal as a company, is pretty easy to define at this point. We want to deliver the best end user compute experience across VDI, DAS, and SaaS, and do it in a way that's high performance, secure, easy to manage, and cost effective, right? And we think there's a huge opening in the market to do that, right? And there used to be a pretty long distribution of Linux out there, and I think this is the year where we've really established that there needs to be one clear player in this space, not 100 small little guys trying to build Linux in their garage. But in order to really succeed with a thin fit OS that's got the support of the major protocol players, VMware, Citrix, Microsoft, and even Amazon, and also the hardware guys, you need one player that has the enterprise strength to deliver on that promise. And I think this is the year where we really separated ourselves from the rest of the pack in that regard, right? And so how did we do that? Well, it's through the ecosystem and the community, right? And so I just, again, want to say thank you to the people that are on this call that support us every day and make us better. And obviously it extends to the 120 plus partners that are in the IGEL ecosystem. I think you're going to see us make even more progress next year, especially with the app portal. And why is the app portal important? Well, it aligns with this whole bunch of values that we've just talked about: being more secure, getting a smaller operating system, even smaller attack surface, being able to align with the agile development cycles of the partners that we see out there delivering new updates every hour, every day, every week. And I think it's going to allow us to scale a lot more effectively as we deliver an SDK to a lot of these partners, and we allow them to do some of the development work that today, we've had to do all of that work ourselves, right? So one thing you can bet on is we are going to continue to invest in R&D and development. This is where most of our headcount goes. We're putting a new building in Augsburg. I think, Matthias, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think we move in February. I was in Augsburg this week, and I saw moving boxes piled up to the ceiling. So we're getting ready to move into this new facility.
We're moving in even 2 weeks earlier.
Okay, good. And one thing I guess that I say to all of you is that part of this transformation and the ecosystem obviously involves the hardware manufacturers, right? And all of these new form factors that we want IGEL to deliver a high performance, easy to manage, secure solution against. And, these are new form factors, that we may not have looked at before, right? And so part of the Augsburg investment is going to be a significant QA facility. We're ramping up the team there. We're putting processes in place so that not only do we validate these and certify these devices, but we have an ongoing cadence as the the IGEL code moves. We're testing against these devices. So I think the future is very bright for IGEL. I think you're going to see it on full display at Disrupt. And if you haven't registered for Disrupt, I know we're going to have a huge kind of place in our heart and on the ground at Disrupt for the community to come together physically, because I think this is overdue. I know you guys do a ton of work on Slack, but there's no substitute for the magic that can happen over a beer together in Munich or Nashville. And so one thing that I asked the team to do was to put together a code for all of you to register to get a discount. We're at $199 right now through December 31st. And if you go to Disrupt EUC and you go to register and you use this code IGEL Community when you register, and it is a little clunky, it's a very small link up in the left corner. If you click on that, you type in IGEL Community, it'll reduce the price. And we'd love to have you there, right? We're going to have a whole bunch of things which Seb and Irfan, I think, can probably illuminate better than I can, specifically for the community. We know and love the work that you guys are doing, and we want to show some of that appreciation at the event. We'd also love to give you guys some space for speaking. And on the website, there's a call for sessions. So if any of you have, any session, it doesn't have to be IGEL specific, anything in this space that you want to talk about. The whole idea of Disrupt is not necessarily for it to be a complete IGEL commercial. It's, really aimed to have a dialogue about where the industry is going. We do have some really exciting people that will be there, including some people that I'm sure you all know and love. We were able to get Mark Templeton to come in person, so he'll be closing the first day, and Tarkan Maynor will also be there. And I'll share confidentially with the humans that are on this call. Tarkan is actually joining IGEL's board, so this is an exciting development that will be more public in the coming weeks, but he will be there, probably closing the second day. We have a really exciting speaker who wrote a book. If you want to check him out, his name is Mark Mills. And I think he will deliver a super optimistic view of where the world can go, driven by all these new materials, microprocessors, and machines underpinned by the cloud. And he has a real interesting angle on the edge and how important the edge is. And he's a fellow at the Manhattan Institute. So a lot of the things he'll be talking about are obviously rooted in a lot of really deep scientific research, but it's a very positive, optimistic view of the world in terms of looking at the economic expansion that can occur in that's akin to the Industrial Revolution 100 years ago. So it's really about the roaring 2020s. And I think coming out of COVID and some of the challenges that we're seeing in the world today, having a speaker like this should hopefully energize a lot of us about the place that we're and the role that we're playing in helping move the world forward. So yeah, super excited, Seb. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an answer to the question you asked me.
Definitely, yes. And I can't thank you enough for joining and sharing that thoughts with us. Just in case you remember that the call is recorded and might be shared afterwards, right? So if you are sharing some insights which are extremely internal and shouldn't reach the outside world, give me a hint, I will edit the video.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the Tarkin thing is probably something if you can keep it under the IGEL community tent, there'll be some press and so forth. But I trust the IGEL community that's on here, and I trust that many of you know who Tarkin is, and certainly brings a great energy and insight into the market. And so, yeah, we're really excited to have him as part of the IGEL team going forward.
I had the chance to meet him twice, one in a Zoom call that was an internal call, and then on an event. And I must say it was extremely inspiring, which visions he had about the end-user computing space, but also about the company. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Really nice announcement. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as a guy who was sort of the godfather of the most successful thin operating system with thin OS, albeit we've taken a lot of that market share away over the last years. But having someone that took a company out of bankruptcy and sold it to Dell for over $1 billion, he and also as a current executive of Nutanix, where 40% of what they sell actually powers VDI. It's a very exciting moment to have him on our team.
Definitely. So I would just want to let maybe the last 10 minutes to ask questions. Since Irfan didn't have the chance to speak that much, would you mind having me asking you a question? Irfan, if you like, I would like to position one question regarding culture. I know that it's a pretty tough one, but I will just read it because I got it from a customer a couple of weeks ago. I will just read it, right? So IGEL isn't a purely German company anymore, which is quite obvious. If you look at the attendees, if you look at the amount of members that we have around the world and the IGEL family, how are you dealing with the cultural differences on a daily basis?
Question, you want me to answer this,
Yeah,
Seb?
please.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. It's great to be part of the community. And as Jed pointed out, I would like to thank each and every one of you being part of our great community. And, not only I'm super proud of the feedback that we get from all of you, but most importantly, how you continue to make us shape our product better, right? Shape our services better. So again, huge thank you to all of you for your contribution. I believe we are now, Seb, over 9,000 community members, which is fantastic, and this is continuing to grow. So to answer the question around the cultural differences, Jed, myself, Jed had a little bit longer trip in Europe than me. I was in Europe last week meeting teams in London and Munich and Bremen and Augsburg. So one thing that actually stands out to me from a cultural perspective, yes, we could have some local differences between how we perceive certain things, food, this or the other. But from an IGEL culture perspective, I'll tell you one thing. Every team member that I meet is what Jed and team always says about being servant heart. Lead with yes. How can we help you? How we can help our community, our customers? As you know, being head of customer experience, giving our customer that experience that we promise with our product and services, and working very closely with my great friend Matthias Haas. Is fantastic, right? So from a cultural perspective, the key thing that we always believe and drive into is being servant heart, helping each other, driving that family-oriented culture that we all believe and trust in. So that's one thing that I have seen, and across as I travel across Europe every other quarter, and it's fantastic to see that the teams are working together. Not only from a customer's perspective, but if you will look at the members on this community today who are attending, I know most of you, if not all, and I'm sure that in our interactions with you as well as our customers and partners, you do see that we are leading with this mindset of how can we help each other. And again, going back to the point that Jed mentioned earlier, we truly are very appreciative of the help that you provide to all of us. and the feedback that you give to us, so which is very appreciative, and we thank you for that.
And Zeb, can I just add one word to this? Because one thing I just feel real strongly about is that as I go around the world and I talk to investors and I talk to CEOs of our partners, the story of IGEL is super unique, right? Taking a small German thin client hardware company 7 years ago that was really contained to Germany, and flipping that into a business that's now 50% in the US, 50% in Germany, or in Europe, I should say, although we still have an inordinate amount of it coming out of Germany. But what I would say is this story is not one that you commonly hear, right? And why have we been able to do this? It has to do with sort of those cultural values that Irfan talked about, right? Where diversity and respect for the different things that each one of these different cultural pockets bring to the table. That's what's been able to allow us to do this. And I'll be the first to tell you, Germans are wired very differently than Americans. And as much as that you might think the UK and Americans are the same, we're wildly different too. So it comes down to sort of a healthy respect and tension, and leaning into our differences and with a common goal in mind, right, which is our customers and our partners, and really reshaping an industry. We have this unique moment right now where Microsoft is telling us, hey, you're our most important partner. That is an incredibly, as far as WVD and Windows Azure Virtual Desktop goes, to believe that this small German thin client company 7 years ago could have Microsoft saying that about them in what is really one of their most important products. This is a really unique situation, right? And so how do we get here? We get here through an extreme amount of respect for the diversity that in the places that we all come from, but putting our customers and our partners and innovation ahead of everything.
I have to add, let's imagine even IGEL accepted a French employee like I do. So that means a lot in terms of open-mindedness. Thank you, Jed. Good insight. Matthias, I would like to ask you a question regarding the hardware. I got a question, how can a customer identify the correct hardware since IGEL left the hardware production?
That's a very good question. I have to apologize. I have constant network issues here. It's probably because they're already moving around stuff. I don't know. I'm really sorry for that. All day I had Zoom meetings and everything worked perfectly fine. Sorry, guys. So talking about hardware and what are the recommendations to our UD products? We have put up, as you have seen, we have 3 hardware partners that we are working very closely with Lenovo, LG, and HP. And for all of those 3, and thanks, Jed, for sharing those links, we have built up websites where we are displaying the certified devices that are tested with IGEL OS, that are qualified, and that are fully supported. But there's also on the IGEL website, and Sebastian, I will send you a link afterwards. There's an overview where we have a table to reference. So what is the good replacement for UD2? What's the recommendation for UD3 and the UD7? And you will find that with all 3 vendors that I was just mentioning, we do have a good alternative for those different aspects. But we also, and that's a good thing about those partnerships, we are now able to also drive new form factors. And I think Jed was talking to this, right? Providing laptops, providing mobility solutions to our customers is a key element. And this is where we can really provide you and your users a better choice of endpoints to choose the right laptop, go for an all-in-one device, or stick with a fixed desktop device. So I'm really very positive that we will give our customers and partners more flexibility and choice on the endpoint to make use of the best operating system to connect to VDI, DAS, or SAS with IGEL OS.
If I could just add one thing to this,
please.
I think we've kind of confused the market a little bit with this advanced and activated kind of model with IGEL Ready. And one of the commitments I have to all of you is that we're going to fix this. Really what we want to do is come out with one word, which is certified, right? Powered by IGEL certified devices. Those devices will be the ones that will be sitting in Augsburg, going through very rigorous QA testing before we actually give it that designation. But equally important, they will be, when you buy that device, you can be ensured that we are going to be testing it on the latest versions of the IGEL OS as we release them, both 11 and 12. And so I think this is kind of like what you want as a consumer of these solutions, right? Is you're going to want the one that's certified. So today we've kind of mangled it a little bit because we had this activated and advanced certification, which kind of has some cute alliteration with the letter A. But I think by the time we get to disrupt, I think you can count on two things from Matthias and I. We're going to do two things for you. One, we're going to be absolutely clear on the devices that have gone through the gauntlet of testing from IGEL and that we stand behind in the QA facility, and we will be calling them IGEL, powered by IGEL certified devices. And the other thing that you're going to see from us is we're going to also be more clear as we head towards this app portal concept, which products are actually in the IGEL Ready family that live in this app portal, have specific technical integrations, and have been certified for by IGEL as well, right? To live inside of this highly curated app portal. So expect some maturation, I think would probably be the right word, from how we think about moving out of some sort of marketing terms and to really much more clean language that you can count on from a technology perspective. Matthias, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. We have some more to do there, but by the time we get to disrupt, you can count on sort of I would say we'll probably be reducing some of the logos that are out there that are more of a marketing relationship today, and really culling it down to the ones where we have great technical integrations, and we've done the work both on the software and the hardware side to certify.
Yeah, and the only thing I would like to add on this one is we want to highlight the solutions that we provide jointly from an app portal perspective and in the IGEL Ready program to clearly highlight the use cases and the things that we can solve for. And again, the promise that we are providing to you and our customers is stability and compatibility. And with the rigorous testing and revamping of the hardware support nomenclature, we will make sure that this is going to be very crisp and clear. So just
Matthias, there's a great question that was asked by Milan in the about how we might as we're doing this QA work, keep sort of an ongoing list of known bugs and issues. Yeah.
So
yes, I can take that, and then you can add to that piece. So one thing, Milan, we are doing there from a customer experience perspective is working very closely with Matthias and his team on keeping a track of obviously our OS versions and known issues or bugs. And this list is actually shared weekly with at the moment internally with the team to make sure we have the correct format and stuff. And we do plan to highlight this with customers as well. So picking up OS 11 version, for example, 11.200, for example, and say, okay, this version, here are the things that we have identified as something that we are still working on or as known issues, and some estimation around when those bugs or identified issues would be fixed. So that's something that we are actively looking into, but great question. This is already a work in progress. Matthias, feel free to chime in.
I think also going forward, addressing this issue. So we did have known bugs when we were releasing firmwares. So if you had a look on the release notes, they were somewhere hidden in all of the details and informations that were in there. As we are now separating out the OS and we have apps as separate components, there's going to be a specific release note and a specific known bugs section on the app portal. So you have much more transparency on this. I think what you're referring to, Irfan, is also relevant in terms of hardware capabilities and hardware support. So it's definitely something that we heard in and out this year, and we are working on being more transparent and enabling you to make a better choice on which application version you want to use, which one you're probably skipping. And we do understand this as a clear requirement. So thanks, Milan.
And we are also thinking about integrating such kind of internal informations into the IGEL community. So obviously we have customer informations, we have company information, that's that list that we are getting from our support colleagues from dev, and also the internal bug tracking that we are providing. So we are trying to cover that in an anonymized mode for the rest of the IGEL community. So nothing we can share at the moment, but it's definitely on the list for 2023. We are already at the top of the hour, guys. I would like to thank you very much. We didn't have the chance to cover all questions, but I'm pretty sure that we will have the chance to speak with you all at the beginning of the year 2023. And if not, please again join the IGEL Community Meetup in January. We will take over the question regarding the support topic. And then on the Disrupt events in February and April, please join us there, because we will have exactly the same discussion, but in person this time. Thank you very much, guys, especially to Irfan, Jed, and Matthias for taking the time. I know we are you are already pretty busy, and end of the year train is running extremely fast. So thank you very much for joining, and yeah, see you next time.
All right. Well, we love you all.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
so much.
Thanks for helping us. Thanks for being in the community.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Matthias.